it tells you how ridiculous and absurd Amit Shah's statement is, because some of the most successful people in America are American Indians or NRIs. And they have done wonders in business. They are amongst the most successful immigrants. And I can promise you, they do speak English. So I think Mr. Shah needs to do his homework. This is an ideological mindset of the RSS, the Sangh Parivar of the BJP. There is this huge, political rhetoric that you will frequently hear about the colonial past and why only the language of identity politics is the one that will unify India. But it also reveals basically the sheer lack of what I call as wisdom to understand that India is such a diverse country. We have 22 languages in India. The truth is that Mr. Shah's limited, parochial, and provincial statement has to be condemned because it makes us look so regressive in the global sweepstakes that India has to be fighting for. I think to begin with, his charity begins at home. I mean, he should make sure that Jai Shah resigns from the International Cricket Council, because most of the cricket playing countries are very comfortable speaking English, right? So what are you going to do about that? I think these are very ridiculous and absurd and downright preposterous conversations we are being forced to have because the leaders live in a Jurassic age.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Amid a simmering language row, Union Home Minister Amit Shah opened another front today by asserting that those who speak English in the country would soon feel ashamed. Speaking at a book launch event, Home Minister underscored that native languages were central to India's identity and should take precedence over foreign tongues. Now, what exactly he said, that in this country, those who speak English will soon feel ashamed. The creation of such a society is not far away. I believe that the languages of our country are the jewels of our culture. Without our languages, we cease to be truly Indian. And this statement of Amit Shah has gone viral. Social media users are commenting left, right, and center. But how do we see this comment? Does this comment reek of language imposition of Hindi, like many people in the South are viewing it as? Even Mamata Banerjee has raised this issue. So we'll try and discuss on this. Joining me this evening is former Congress spokesperson, author, and political commentator Sanjay Jha. Sanjay, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. Sanjay is in America and our time zones are so different. He's joined us very early morning from a big corporate meeting. I'm so sorry to wean you out of the meeting, but so my first question to you, how do you really see this statement as coming from Amit Shah as it does? Is this some kind of a distraction again? Because time and again, we've seen this tactics of BJP. Do you see this as a distraction?
Well, Neelu, since you mentioned at the very beginning that I'm in the US right now, I can tell you that it tells you how ridiculous and absurd Amit Shah's statement is, because some of the most successful people in America are American Indians or NRIs. And they have done wonders in business. They are amongst the most successful immigrants. And I can promise you, they do speak English. So I think Mr. Shah needs to do his homework. To start with, I was just thinking that you will remember this, that Mr. Modi, when he returned from his Saudi Arabian trip after the Pahalgam terror attack, he went to Bihar and he spoke in English there. He actually spoke in English there. And I can tell you that it tells you how bizarre this government is, or the BJP is as a political party. But let me tell you this with all seriousness. Amit Shah and Mr. Modi run the country. They do not make statements casually. They know exactly what they're aiming for. And the use of language as a cultural strategy to influence the larger political game plans that they have is the real play as far as Mr. Shah is concerned.
No, but did
This
he
is an
make that
attempt.
Sanjay, did he make that statement keeping in mind the elections in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, and which is why he's wanting to create that linguistic divide by talking about this bit on Hindi? Oh, sorry, on English.
Nilu, let me tell you that this is an ideological mindset of the RSS, the Sangh Parivar of the BJP. There is this huge, political rhetoric that you will frequently hear about the colonial past and why only the language of identity politics is the one that will unify India. But it also reveals basically the sheer lack of what I call as wisdom to understand that India is such a diverse country. We have 22 languages in India. There is no official one language. And the truth is that if you look at the Northeast, the southern states of India, they don't speak Hindi at all. In fact, they speak English. They're very comfortable speaking the English language. So truly for, although I think Mr. Shah did not specifically mention which native language was he insinuating, or did he mean native languages, the truth is that if you look at the controversy that we're having over the three language formula with Tamil Nadu, that's a manifestation of the bigger intent of this government. And they will use every trick in the bag. Remember that language is a very powerful exhibition of one's identity, right? What language do you really speak? And religion, caste, language, these all become powerful ingredients in the larger chessboard of Indian politics. Mr. Shah, of course, has now said something that I do hope there are a lot of young people in this country because India's future belongs to the young. This is the demographic dividend story of India, which is fast evaporating because there are no jobs. That can you imagine a leader who's considered to be number two or a successor to the prime minister talking that, and he's used strong words, right? That if you speak English, you'll be ashamed. So you and I and millions of people in this country who speak English or who write in English, it's not that I don't speak Hindi. It's not that I don't speak my own language of Maithili. It's not that I don't understand other languages in India. But the truth is that Mr. Shah's limited, parochial, and provincial statement has to be condemned because it makes us look so regressive in the global sweepstakes that India has to be fighting for.
Right, but such a many people on the social media are also writing about the fact, and which is the fact that Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah, they themselves are not comfortable with English. It's a
Mhm.
known fact. People have seen this. Now, is it out of some complex, or do you see it as a political agenda, a deliberately imposed political agenda, keeping in mind the elections in the southern states? It has to be two things. Is it out of an inferiority complex just because they cannot converse in English, or is it because of a political agenda they want to impose?
See, for the BJP, it is a clear political agenda because they realize that their real vote bank is really in the Hindi heartland. We all know that, right? And I think there, Mr. Shah's focus, frankly speaking, will be to look at Bihar elections, look at every state where they have been the dominant force. Uttar Pradesh, they weakened. So they will try and do everything to reinvigorate the fact that the BJP is the national party that represents the interest of the states in the northern part of this country. That's the larger unambiguous objective that Mr. Shah and the BJP will continuously and always work on, which is their fundamental right, and why not? Let them do what they do. But here is the truth. The truth is that today, if you look at our country, where do you get your passport to success in a very globally competitive environment? India has failed to create jobs in India. I mean, the fact remains that most of our people, young people, went abroad to create a life. You can see the data on the number of millionaires dollar denominated millionaires who have left our country. Why? Because they don't see a scope for growing their business or leading their lives in a country. And you are telling them and their future generations that if you speak English, you're going to feel ashamed. Well, I am saying right now on your show that we are all proud Indians. We don't need a certificate from the BJP. And culture, the use of different languages in India is fascinating. We all love the beautiful, kaleidoscopic, charming, captivating narrative of our multiple languages. Of course we do. There is no denying that. But the BJP, unfortunately, and that's a tragedy of our country, and they have a huge following, which is the double whammy, that they use what is India's civilizational strengths, our religious diversity, our caste, even our caste hierarchy, which frankly speaking has been the detriment of India's interest. The BJP will use every trick in the bag to polarize India. Even language is a huge instrument.
Most
I live in Mumbai.
Yeah, Sanjay, the most hilarious part is, and I want to understand from you that today, when India's Home Minister says that those who speak in English will soon feel ashamed, how is the world really going to view Amit Shah's statement when we have a Prime Minister who says that India will become a Vishwaguru? So India aims to become a Vishwaguru without speaking in English. So what is the kind of message which Amit Shah is speaking? Is he speaking in a voice which is different from what the Prime Minister is saying?
Well, I can tell you for a fact that Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah are on the same page, absolutely the same page. I'm going to say something here which I think needs to be said because we are always being too politically correct. Like, for example, you need to be a graduate to get to a certain job. You need an MBA, for example, to be probably in some kind of a function where you have a bigger corporate ladder to climb. I similarly believe that English today is not a language that you have to look from from this very narrow-minded prism of, hey, the English ruled us or the British ruled us for so many years, and now I'm going to be anti the language. I'm fully aware that if you go to many countries in the world, Neetu, I'm sure you know that. For example, France in particular, they are very reluctant to talk to you in English, even if they know English and they know you're a tourist. The French are very proud of their lineage, and there's a certain arrogance and so on and so forth. But that doesn't make the French very palatable, by the way. People find them very aloof. Some people find them very racist. It doesn't work in your favor. And the more accessible you are, the more you are able to establish connections and relationships with people from different parts of the world, even within your own country. You create a common bond. I think what Mr. Shah is missing is really the missing the woods for the trees. Strange as it seems, English is a unifier in our country as well. It's not just Hindi. English is also a unifier. Today, you go to many parts of India where people who don't speak Hindi, they probably will speak to you in English. In the Northeast, in the South in particular. So we fail to understand that you can't treat any language as hostile. When he uses words like ashamed, I mean, I am appalled. Or let me use Mr. Shah's language and say, I'm ashamed. Because Mr. Shah should know. I mean, he's a powerful man. He's like a heavyweight in this government. He does not have the license to suddenly tell India's young population that if you know English, is going to be some kind of an embarrassment for you.
No, in
We
fact,
can enjoy. Sorry, yeah.
Amit Shah is being lampooned today on the social media, where Jay Shah's visual is being shown on the social media, where he is stuttering and stammering with no offense meant to Jay Shah, but that
Mhm.
clip is going viral where he's speaking on a cricket match and where he's hardly able to pronounce three sentences barely in English. And people are saying
Yeah.
that is it because Jay Shah cannot speak in English? And that's why I asked you that question, that is it because of an inferiority complex that they cannot converse in English, and which is why they want Hindi to be imposed all across?
Yep. In fact, I would say this that today we live in a globalized world. The common currency that binds everybody is the language of English. Can we deny that? Can we deny that? Mr. Modi can go ahead and speak in Hindi if he likes. I don't think there is anybody saying that it's wrong not to speak in your national language. If you're more comfortable in it, go ahead. But if you knew English, that would be an asset as well. I mean, end of day, we got to accept it. that business, government, international diplomacy, all of it runs in a language that people understand. Let me give you one example. When you hear somebody in the UN talk in that local language that we don't know what they're saying, we can only read the subtitles. A large part of the impact is lost. I'm not saying that everybody who has to speak English has to be a Sashi Tharoor. You don't have to be a Sashi Tharoor at all. I mean, it doesn't matter how you speak, but to denigrate the language because for whatever reason the BJP, which we all know is more politically strategizing here, if you're going to denigrate a language or ridicule its long-term practical relevance in India by saying it'll become obsolescent and you will become awkward if you speak English language, mocks our own history. I mean, can we ignore that our history has a colonial past? And it's like the British saying, don't use the railway network because that is a legacy of the British. I mean, how silly is this conversation?
Shouldn't these questions be asked, Sanjay, today? That will these BJP leaders or will Amit Shah not send his grandchildren to English medium schools just because he feels that those who speak in English should feel ashamed? Will he stop sending his grandchildren to English medium schools? Will he stop interacting in English? And another import about which people are talking about on the social media, that every statement made by a minister in the BJP has a certain importance, especially if it is Amit Shah or Prime Minister. Now,
Hmm.
if when he says that those who speak in English will feel ashamed, what does it mean? What is going to be the kind of import? Because people are talking on the social media that is English going to be scrapped from the UPSC? Will the private companies now stop hiring based on it? Now, what all can you expect now? What is going to be the ramification of the statement made by Amit Shah? Will English books will be erased? Are they going to be erased? What are we going to expect now? Because BJP is known to do bizarre things.
Nilu, I don't want to jump the gun here, but this is basically again a confirmation actually of the way the BJP and the RSS think. And the thinking is very clear, whether it's caste. They're very, by the way, they believe in the caste hierarchy, which we all know. It's a very Brahminical party. I'm a Brahmin myself, but I can tell you I strongly castigate the kind of caste politics that goes on in our country and harms people from the other backward caste, the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Religion, we all know how Hindutva is the big thing, and language is an instrument that facilitates the Hindutva, shall we say, narrative. It's as simple as that. So the bottom line is that because you are living in a world which is connected, Indians abroad have done remarkably well on the basis of their language has been one of our biggest USPs. One of the reasons why I think India has done well abroad and outfox the Chinese in many places is because we speak better English than them. Of course, everyone catches up with you sooner or later. And do a little understanding of your own country, Mr. Shah. India's beauty is the fact that look at our states in our country, look at even our union territories. They are so unique in that they have their own characteristics, their own culture, their own way of living, and the way people communicate. To therefore believe that English, because it was the language that the British spoke, and I need to appear more nationalistic or a hyper, masculine macho man who can defend the boundaries of India, which we all have seen recently, they can't. I mean, they will do this kind of hyperbole to create a conversation. And I feel Mr. Shah and the BJP truly haven't really understood, despite being in power for 11 years. Nilu, they cannot reconcile to the hard reality that you can't, shall we say, saffronize the country. It's not like a white canvas and you'll take one paintbrush and say, let me make it a saffron color. You can't. This country is beautiful. This country is one which is colorful. It has multiple colors in its flag. It speaks multiple languages, and it respects everyone's right to speak the language they do, which is why I think on the three language formula, this government has actually been caught on the wrong foot.
I was reading a very interesting data, which is according to the 2011 census, which says that approximately 11% Indians speak English. This number, I'm sure, has must have increased by now because it's a 2011 census figure, and the second most widely spoken language after Hindi. Now, this, if you just juxtapose it with what Amit Shah has said, would you now say that BJP is going to dismiss this 11% English speaking people? They are going to be targeted. They are going to be ostracized just because Amit Shah doesn't like the English speaking people. What are we going to now arrive at?
Yeah, I think to begin with, his charity begins at home. I mean, he should make sure that Jai Shah resigns from the International Cricket Council because most of the cricket playing countries are very comfortable speaking English, right? So, what are you going to do about that? I think these are very ridiculous and absurd, downright preposterous conversations we are being forced to have because the leaders live in a Jurassic age. I think the BJP has always, if you look at their entire conversation, as I say, Vartalap in Rajniti, it's always about the past. You got to think ahead. You got to think about the future. I mean, the truth is, if you look at the children of all these big leaders from the government, most of them would be abroad or studying in convent schools or fancy private colleges or whatever, but having great proficiency in the English language. Why? But I want to remind you, though, that why we cannot dismiss this statement as just some kind of a casual statement he made in an interview, because this is the same BJP and the government that talked about changing the name of India to Bharat some time ago. And you remember the tone and tenor was exactly the same. Colonial past, the Congress was born in 1885 with an A.O. Hume. Everything is done to make you look awkward or corner you. For example, today there is this whole buzz, and let me say that at the end, that if you speak good English, they will say he's an elitist. So if you and I are having this conversation in an English language, they will say, "यार ये तो अंग्रेज हैं." संजय झा भी अमेरिका में बैठा हुआ है. Yeah, this is such laughable nonsense, right? So here is the problem: that end of day, this also becomes what I call as anti-history, anti-intellectualism, actually, because some of the best books have been written in the language of English. Can you ignore that? In fact, one message to Mr. Shah, if he watches your program, that Indian authors' books have been translated into English and they are winning Man Booker prizes. I mean, we are getting a greater currency. We are actually taking our culture and our language and exporting it to the world where they see in a translation the beauty of the story that some author wrote. So these are people who don't really, in my opinion, Nilu, have understood, despite being in power, the BJP remains a party with a very small parochial mindset. These are negative thinking people. They cannot see the beauty of the larger construct of India.
I lost your audio in between, Sanjay. I lost your audio. I lost your audio. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, my basic point is Europe has 28 countries and they're all unique in their own ways. We are so lucky in India that all our states, and exactly the same number of them, have the same speciality, the same uniqueness in our flavors. And let's cherish that. Let's celebrate it. Let's be one. And I would just tell Mr. Shah that, that's why I tweeted that आपको शुक्रिया देना चाहूंगा कि आपकी जो सोच है उसके कारण आप भाजपा के जितने प्रवक्ता हैं उनको अंग्रेजी चैनल में मत भेजिए. हो सकता है वो नहीं जाएंगे तो
I
हमारे
saw you.
बातचीत हमारी जो गुफ्तगू होगी उसमें उतनी नाराजगी या उतना जो आक्रोश आता है वो नहीं आएगा. सो आई होप द बीजेपी फॉलोज हिज इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्लोजली.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw your tweet. That was very interesting. But one last question, quickly, before I wind up the show, Sanjay. That so basically, this Amit Shah statement should not be seen as any kind of love for Hindi, but it is purely connected to the BJP and RSS's monolithic agenda, and that's what you've spoken about. So that's what the conclusion we arrive at.
Absolutely. Let me tell you that a government that tells Tamil Nadu government that I will not give you the central government funding assistance that is due to you because you haven't complied with this three language formula tells you of the extent of ideological coercion or the pressure of linguistic politics that the BJP puts other people into. So whether it's religion, caste, language, I'm not going to be surprised what the BJP does. But please let us not ignore Mr. Shah's statement as just some kind of a remark made as an off the camera. It was on camera. It was said with, I think, a lot of gravitas. All the BJP leaders have a script that they follow and strictly adhere to. This has been manifested over the last 10 years. We see it in the current conversations on delimitation and the three language formula. And I hope the young people who are watching your program, I mean, they kind of wake up to the reality that politics, if you ignore politics, this, you may tell yourself you're fine, but politics will not ignore you. And that's the bottom line that we should never forget.
Thank you so much, Sanjay. Thank you so much. And we
Thank
weaned
you.
you out of your important meetings. Thank you so much.
Don't worry.